So Michael was going to check in to see if the city manager could send them a note to try to get their attention. It'd be great to hear an update about that, if there's been any movement, Mr. Sells. Good height. The last part of that is that it's very annoying that we have lights at our sites that are essential to be on for safety reasons that we have no ability to fix when they go out. And in fact, I believe it's the majority of our lights in things like parking lots. And so I just want to flag for the board that this isn't something we could do in the immediate future, but it's worth pursuing, I think, with Dominion, what it would look like for us to buy those from Dominion and make them ours. What it would look like in terms of the infrastructure, especially as we redevelop, to take them back from Dominion, because it's an ongoing problem. Nobody has the time. And it's also very frustrating for residents to make a really easy request for more lighting and to be told it's impossible to honor it.
Do we know why Dominion owns them?
I'm sorry.
Like why does Dominion own our lights?
I can't tell you why, but when you're out here, you can tell that it's the same light that Dominion has on the other street. So it isn't the new factory light. It is strange because
bag. Here's a paper clip.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here's a paper.
Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will say it is strange because the lights are so far in our property. So it's not like it's right there at the sidewalk. They're like inside of our property line. So I thought that was strange as well. But I did have a conversation with Sam last Thursday, and he is connecting me with the individual that's sending the letter, and it has a really good relationship with the Dominion rep for the area, to tag along with our issues that the city already has.
Yeah, great. I mean, I know that it's going to take a lot of electrical infrastructure because it's a lot of lights, but I think it would be good for us to have that on our horizon because, people change in terms of their jobs at Dominion. It's great that maybe there's someone now who would take care of it, but it's been such a big issue that I don't know we can rely on that, and it would be better to have those in-house.
Yeah, and I don't have any update at this point yet in terms of what would be involved in CRHA purchasing any of the lights from Dominion, or if I still don't know if that's something that Dominion would even be open to or as part of like their process. But as was referenced, if at any point anyone on CRHA staff has an issue with Dominion, always feel free to reach out to either City Council or the City Manager, because we do have there's an employee at Dominion whose job is to basically be like a government liaison to local governments, and they've been responsive to different issues in the past. So that is a route that has, I think, some value. The only other question, so there was the plan moving forward for West Haven and then the work order that's in place for the Dominion-owned lights. Were at the other sites for what is not Dominion lights, is that also moving forward in terms of procuring additional lighting there?
Yes.
So the sites that we have are South First Street, which we're working on the photo cell issue there. Preston Halls, which is good. Mickey, Madison, and Riverside are the three sites that are Dominion-owned. And so the only family site left over will be West Haven, and that's the one where we're going to do the headlight replacement on the poles and then the upgrading and additional wall packs at West Haven. So we would touch every site at that point. We did go through the exercise of site light selection with residents for Mickey, Madison, and Riverside. So if we did move forward with something with Dominion to take over that lighting situation there, we would have already started engaging with the residents on what they would prefer to be seen, what they would prefer to have on the site. And so every site is being touched with what we're looking at based upon the wall packs being upgraded and then the work we're doing with Dominion.
Okay.
Just to update with the HUD inspections that we had, we did verify we've completed the 24-hour, 30-day, and 60-day HUD requests.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Just a quick point, if I may, Madam Commissioner Wicks. I want what you running to me, and I can't ask for permission to speak. Goodness gracious, it's a tough crowd. I wanted to say thank you, Mr. Sells, as well as your staff. We know an update on the lights was a point of something that we were asking specifically for in terms of an update, and we appreciate you all providing this update to us. And again, welcome, and we
Thank
look
you.
forward to chatting with you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, like Robert said, we did hire a construction coordinator who will be working on the site lighting at West Haven. And so that's one of his first project is identified as a high priority item. And so he started last week, got his training done last week, and he finished what I think the procurement solicitation for the basketball court, basketball goal, the backboard that was damaged or broken at Mickey. So he got that done in his first week, and he was working, I think Brandon sent over the lighting information, and so he'll be working on that estimate and then scope of work to go out for bid.
Done as in it's replaced. The the backboard is replaced.
It's ordered. It'll
It's
be
ordered.
here.
Ordered and paid for. It's
Oh, okay.
just in shipping.
Yeah, it'll be
Good.
here later on this week, I believe.
Great, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, we will move to the housing director update. Terry.
Yes. Hi, I'm Terry. I'm filling in for the director since we don't have one at this time. The vacancy numbers for West Haven are, we have 2. We have one in Madison, one at Riverside, one at Ridge Street. We have 4 on Mickey. 2 of those we have applications for and they are ready for move-in. Had 1 vacant at 6th Street, 1 vacant at South First Street, and Dogwood has 5 vacancies, but they have applications and all of those are ready for move-in also. The relocation update at Crescent Hall, we still have 24 vacant units. There are 15 on the 2nd floor waiting to be released. All other units have approvables, just waiting for the move-in. Delinquency, West Haven is at 59,017. South First Street is 46,811. Crescent Halls is 19,925. 6th Street, 19,409. Mickey was 9,253. Madison is 21,570. Riverside is 22,292. Montrose is 1,493. Ridge, which is 1 resident, is $251. Dogwood is 59,775. We do have a lot of training going on for the staff right now as far as VHDA and HUD training. We have Yardy training in May, and we will have some more training going on in the month of June. All property managers are required to report to the bi-monthly on Wednesdays, the safety meetings, the resident services meetings on the 2nd Tuesday of the month, the redevelopment meeting the 1st Thursday of the month, the CRHA senior management meeting is weekly, and the relocation assessment team the 3rd Monday of the month. And I guess that's it for me. Any questions?
So just one question, the Dogwood, I think we've already confirmed this, the Dogwood portfolio, we don't know, so a lot of those were carried over, we don't know how much of that is what we've incurred since acquiring it, or do we?
I think only 2,000 or less is carried.
Okay.
I have a quick question. I know we discussed during our, I can't remember if it was our retreat or one of our prior work sessions, specifically in regards to delinquency. We were going to have the residents get on a plan of sorts and work with, forgive me because I'm forgetting the term of the person who we were assigning them to. How's that going?
So I can have Ms. Claudette Green, she's the eviction diversion coordinator.
Eviction diversion, thank you, yeah.
I can have her come and do a presentation. For the folks who have, the residents who have chosen to come and work with us, it has been successful. We've gotten some that had a $10,000 balance all the way down to like $3,000 over a few months. They had the resources, they just weren't paying. But for the folks who have not been willing to come, that's where we've had the largest challenge.
Right.
And I will say they typically carry the largest balance.
And I'm assuming that we're moving forward with termination, with eviction for those who don't choose to enter into our program?
Yeah, unfortunately, we actually have a decent number of evictions that are actually going through the process now.
Understood.
And you've been over it before, but in that process, part of it, correct, would be someone would get kind of like an eviction warning, or that's a possibility, and they still have there's that warning before, you proceed to eviction.
Oh, yeah, it's multiple notices that go out. The eviction diversion coordinator sends out a notice. They go knocking on doors to get them to come in and talk to them before anything moves forward to eviction. We have several touch points or attempted touch points. We provide a list of resources that are available. We've got into a partnership with the church where if the tenant pays a portion, they'll pay a portion. But the families who aren't willing to come talk to us, there aren't any resources that are willing to just cut the check without some engagement to ensure that this isn't going to be a repeat offense. But I can have Ms. Green come back next month and give an update on what actions we're doing.
Thank you. Any other questions on the housing director update?
For the units that still have to be leased up at Crescent Halls, last term, remember the goal was end of April for the second floor to be completed and everyone's able to move in. Is that still the timeline?
We got the second floor today. So they released the second floor to us today. I'm correct on that, right, Brandon? Somewhat. Some of the units we got today, I think there were 4 or 5 units that still had some issues.
We're good on our end, but we have inspection to get.
City inspection? Okay. All right, so city inspections tomorrow morning. Hopefully we get it cleared and we'll have the second floor at that point.
So end of April to early May is realistic.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I know I've mentioned this before. I'm just thinking about evictions. I think that my position has been that, like, I would love us to be, and I realize this is not really possible, but to be at a 0% eviction rate, to do really everything we can. And I think especially if we could focus on people who do have small balances and are being evicted, I think that we should really, I understand that there's distrust and there's reasons that people might, struggle to come meet, but if we could work with FAR, if we could try to get people in there, because I think it's painful to think about people being evicted when they, again, I realize that people are working with them when they have small balances to really make any extra steps, and I don't know, we have a FAR rep in the room, but people willing to help coordinate some of those efforts so that we can really set our goal to be as close to 0% as we can possibly get it.
I don't want to derail the conversation. I am aligned with you on the financial part. I think that there are non-financial evictions that would prevent us from getting to that 0%.
Yeah.
And given the safety issues and other things that are often involved in those, I just want us to be mindful of that when we think about the 0%, the financially totally aligned with you, and creating an unsafe environment for all of our residents. I think that could prevent us from getting there.
Do we have a policy of sorts on that particular matter?
For policy on?
So, for example, I think both of my colleagues, when you, I don't want to speak for you, but when you two describe minimal or small financial amounts, small amounts in which persons may be being evicted for, even though we hear our executive director Sales and his staff speak eloquently about we provide several chances and so forth, I'm assuming you all are thinking if someone's being evicted for $500 or $1,000 and, if it's solely for the amount that they refuse to pay, which I highly doubt is the case, but maybe we could put in writing, if it's $500, we want to exhaust, or we have exhausted every opportunity, as I think I hear Mr. Sell saying, but I think it's one thing for us to say it, but then for us to have it in writing, what
Yeah.
bode well for us.
Yeah, I would love something like that, some sort, and especially thinking about, I'm thinking about the resident services, see if there are resident-led committees too, that perhaps we could try to use to have residents come talk to people, because I know the staff is really hardworking and that, I think that people are doing a great job. I just want to make sure that people who are being evicted, that we are providing all the resources we possibly can before that happens.
Yeah, and I think that's what I hear you saying, right, Mr. Sells, but I think it's another thing for us to have it in writing, so I'm not necessarily saying in terms of covering our hind parts, but more so just so that it is on paper, and our partner organizations like FAR and legal aid are well aware of, again, in writing, these are all of the steps in which we have exhausted. In addition to, we have a hired staff person who's working specifically with this, and then if an individual, even if it is, let's just say $300, and they're just refusing, I'm absolutely not going to pay this, and again, as we alluded to, we've exhausted everything and it's in writing, then that's how other steps get taken. But I think, again, we're in alignment. I think, just to reiterate, maybe having something in writing would bode well for us in that regard.
I think we'll have to use the per month instead of a dollar amount.
Okay.
Just because, the dollar amounts,
Yeah,
you could be at 35 and 500 could take you more than 1 year.
Right.
And so we'll have to use the months to be consistent, fair
Yeah.
housing wise.
Yeah.
But we can get something drafted up.
I think that's why your expertise is needed, Mr. Sells, so appreciate you. Colleagues, I guess, how y'all feel about that? I don't want to unilaterally make a decision.
I'm fine with that. I mean, I thought there was kind of a policy and process in place, but if there's not that's in writing, I definitely think that would be good to have.
We have a eviction diversion plan that I can present you guys. We
Yeah.
did it 2 or 3 years ago when I first got here, when COVID was really rampant.
Okay.
And it's still in place.
I'd love to know if we're going to do this for this presentation. I'd also love to just be thinking proactively about eviction, about I'm sure that people are doing this. I'd love to know, flagging people who seem to be at risk so that we can be as proactive as possible, so that before there's a balance, there's outreach there. And I'd really love to hear some presentations about that.
Presentation would be appreciated for me.
Okay.
And for HUD, this is part of how they evaluate CRHA as an agency. So either it could be now or at that presentation, just a reminder for us in terms of what are the consequences for CRHA if you have kind of permanent unpaid rent over a period of 2, 3, 4 years.
TC,
yeah.
did you have something?
Yeah, on both of these.
Could you speak at the microphone for the
Yeah.
public?
Are the microphones, are they going to Zoom? Can people hear us on Zoom?
Yes.
Cool, okay.
So for HUD, how we're scored, a perfect score is having AR less than 1.5%. So basically, anybody over 2 months.
Sorry, just for persons who are listening, they may not understand the
Yeah.
acronyms AR.
AR, accounts receivable. So any tenant receivables beyond 1.5%, we start getting deductions from HUD on our REACT scores or Inspire as it's transitioning. So that's roughly nobody more than 2 months behind, which we have, obviously far more than that. And then what I was going to say before that piece, to Senator Wick's point, with safety and evictions that, are beyond financial, we do have a long waiting line and list that people that, might deserve a shot if we have issues with other current tenants.
Indeed, and I'm sorry, Commissioner Wicks, I don't want to belabor this point. I'll just only say one last thing, just kind of from my vantage point. I think finding the balance is a challenge, to say the least. But I think you make a very, very valid point that we have an extensive waiting list of people who desperately also need housing, and they too deserve an opportunity. And again, I think we just have to be able to find the balance, because if we jump through a wide variety of different hoops, providing persons 15 chances when there's, again, people who are waiting on the list who just can't get in. I don't know if that's necessarily fair, so again, like finding a balance is important. You okay, Ms. Ellis?
Well, what are you gonna do with the people that just won't accept the help?
Right. Yeah, and from my perspective, you want some water? Can you get some water?
That's not fair.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, and I think that's where I think we get into that question of finding the quote-unquote balance of the persons who don't want help, the persons who refuse to make the changes, and then balancing that with the people who just may have some real barriers and for whatever reason haven't stepped up. So yeah, I think the presentation will be very good, and we can maybe have a more robust conversation about it.
Yeah.
Nothing further, Madam Vice Chairwoman.
Thank you, Dr. Maloney. All right, the HCV program manager update.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Zoe Paraquo, the HCV Program Manager. We have no major updates on the HCV program. I'm not going to read the numbers to you, but inspections are going really well. Our inspector hopes to be ahead of schedule by the end of this month.
Great.
And for our recertifications, we only had one recert that was past due this month. We've also assigned all participants to a caseworker beginning of this month to improve communication, so they can have one person who handles all their recertification and one point of contact. But that's all.
That's awesome.
Short and sweet.
Thank you. Well, we sent Dr. Sales away to get some water, so we have to wait for him to come back to give his update.
Okay.
I don't know where he's going to find the water.
Yeah.
We've sent him on an endless mission.
Well, is there a vending machine?
Yeah, but you need
But
to
you gotta be-
swipe
it's
in and
swipe to
I
get-
guess
Oh.
technically my
Let me,
card
give-
to
This
let
place
people in
is
the front
serious.
door.
Oh.
It hasn't always been like that. Let me give him a call and ask him to come.
His phone running.
What's the total number of vouchers that we have? I hate to make you, but,
We have 680.
okay,
All programs.
okay.
681 vouchers for those who didn't hear.
61 CSRAP.
61, sir. Thank you.
Well, while we're waiting, anyone have anything else they want to tell us or talk about?
The Tonsil League kicks off on May 31st. I understand that Dr. Goldblatt, Commissioner Payne, Mr. Javier, Bridget, Alice, you all were going to play in the golf tournament.
You don't.
The golf tournament?
That's not something you want me to do.
What? You all are all
I know you
signed
don't
up.
want me on the golf course.
No, you all are signed up. TC, Emily, all of you.
I can help with something, but
No, you.
golfing is not what you want me to do.
No, you're playing. So
I'll play golf.
yeah,
I'll send Connor.
No, it's no substitutions. Mr. TC, you have
Yeah,
something.
well, I know I'm not scheduled tonight, but
That's fine.
the audits for the tax credit property, South First Street and Crescent Halls are finished and completed. They were completed with no adjustments.
Good.
And everything was all
Awesome.
square there, so.
And you were doing something that like kind of struck me as crazy that it hadn't already happened, but you were like taking an entirely manual system and getting it online. What's the progress on that?
Really close.
Okay, cool.
So previously to Mount Revel, we used a fee accountant for most of like all of our year-end closings and what have you. We didn't really do bank reconciliations and things like that in-house. So all that's basically wrapped up, and next month we'll have everything closed out with in-house numbers out of our system, not from a fee accountant that I'll present. So,
That's amazing. You're right. When you said it, I was like, wait, what?
yeah. So, trying to automate as many, just, let technology do its job. So, yeah.
That's great.
All right.
Thank you. Dr. Brownlee, you want to try to find John?
He's probably he'll come back with one.
He probably went to CVS.
Yeah.
Do we want to allow for public comments?
Yes. Are there any public comments?
Great idea.
Please.
Hey, y'all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, yeah, I put a comment in the chat.
I was hoping that, I was concerned what's going on with that bed bugs around the community and Emily not being able to give me a ride home because of that. And I wish that would have plenty. I wish Jack Campbell will have learn to have plenty of cars so I can ride home with good friends.
Okay.
But in the meantime, this summer, I'm going to ride the #1 bus home.
Okay. Thank you.
It's my understanding, and I know we have a maintenance person, that we have pest control now in-house. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. As far as the bed bug issue, we have 2 methods of treatment. The heat treatment, we haven't applied yet. We have the equipment and actually already had the equipment here for a number of years, and we got all that back together. We have another gentleman soon to be hired, hopefully, that's going to join with the guy we have now, who's excellent. And we'll be applying the heat treatment as well, not to outside the chemical treatments. Unfortunately, the heat treatment takes 8 hours. It's a long day.
They're in there for 8 hours with the heat treatment, or they do it and then you have to leave?
They enter and exit just to monitor it, but it gets to 140 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
So you have to not be in
Yeah,
there.
people are presumably not in there when that's happening.
Sure.
So, what we do
Yeah.
is try to schedule that well ahead of time so that the resident has time to make arrangements to be elsewhere during that time.
Okay.
And then with the other treatments, we have some that are intensive that take 4 hours. And part of the notices that we've been struggling and trying to really get out is that they have where to be gone for 4 hours for their benefit.
Only had to run a mile.
Where you go to CVS?
Is any other pest control
Dedication.
questions?
You.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, sir.
much. If you actually ran a mile in that amount of time,
No, it wasn't.
that's like
I'm not
really
fast.
fast.
I did start jogging though.
I don't run that fast, so
I was like,
that's,
man, that meat gonna be
That is really fast.
that was, you need
He's
to
sweating. Look at him.
You're at the end of the
Oh, Kathleen
Yeah.
said these.
Yes, you did.
I know who's
Well,
here
did-
when I saw.
Well,
we're ready for
John
you.
catches his breath. Were there any other public comments? Were there any other public comments?
Yes, any other public, okay, yeah, let's do another public comment while he collects himself.
This will be quick. Emily Dreyfus, really glad to hear that you all are going to look at the eviction policies. And the policies that were passed several years ago were part of the ACAP, and somehow they fell out of the ACAP, but I would encourage you to look at those also, because as I recall, they were super thorough and helpful. And the other thing we heard from a lot of residents when we door knocked the people who were on the eviction docket last week is that they were told not to show up at court by their property manager. And I don't know if that's because some of them had paid off the difference and their cases were going to be dismissed, but I do think something in the policies about whether or not staff tell residents to show up, because years and years ago, that was a pretty common practice in order to win the cases, and obviously not a practice that Legal Aid or FAR was in favor of. Thanks.
To clarify, a practice to win the case on the side of
CRHA.
the
Yeah.
evicting party?
Because if the tenant doesn't show up,
then the case is
it's a
thrown out.
default judgment that goes
Default,
to the
yeah.
landlord.
Right.
Yeah. So FAR and Legal Aid don't want to see property managers discouraging residents from showing up, and it would be great if the policies could speak to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had an online comment.
Oh, yes, there was a.
Yeah, the gentleman read it. I mean,
No, he just wanted to know where we meeting at, because he couldn't hear the audio that well.
Oh, okay. Do we need to
West
like lean into these? Is that better?
Something else we should be doing?
I think we may just need to, so is that Zoom created by the city?
No, that was created by me.
Okay, we might just have to make sure it's one. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So for those listening online, we're working out some kinks, but we'll have it all ready
Next week.
the next meeting. I know that Mr. Sells is up, but I don't know if you need another second. I saw, Mr. Collins, did you have something you want to add? I saw you sent your newsletter out. I'm just trying to give Mr. Sells a moment or two, but if not,
If
it's
I
fine.
ran a 5-minute and 30-second mile, I'd be a minute.
I would want somebody
We're just looking out for Mr. Sales.
Sales, yeah.
Maybe you can sing us a song or something, Brandon.
It's no one's birthday today.
I'm
Oh,
It's
it's
my
your
birthday. It's my birthday on Thursday.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Mine is
Ready?
Thursday.
Yours was last Thursday?
Birthday.
All right. That's why I'm here, y'all. On the count of 3, we're gonna sing "Happy Birthday" twice.
Oh,
One
Lord.
for Miss Alice and one for Miss Goldblatt.
Lord.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alice. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
All right.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, that's right.
Happy birthday, dear Laura. Happy birthday to you.
Yay. We should have had cake.
Seriously, I'm glad you guys read the newsletter. That's why I try to do it with your board meetings. So take a look. It's a busy spring.
Indeed.
And it's all good.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Sales, I hope you've got it
Yep,
together
perfect,
now.
perfect, just sweating, that's it. All right, I'll keep it fairly short, though. So I want to give an update on SOP. We did put it out for bid on the
Standard
18th.
operating procedures for those who are listening,
Yes,
who aren't
standard
aware.
operating procedures. We put out a RFP. We received 14 responses. None of them are housing-focused organizations or in the industry. We did reach out to 4 of them specifically. One stated that they just needed more time to actually respond to it. So we're currently going through the 14 that did respond, and we're going to do interviews with 3 to 5 firms before we make a selection. It should not need board action after you all gave guidance to move forward, because we estimate that it's going to be under the threshold for you all to sign off on it.
Just a quick, so wait, you got 14 and then you reached out specifically to 4 consultancies that work with housing authorities? Okay.
Yeah, so there are like four big ones that work in the industry, and so we reached out to all 4 of them. Only one was like super interested, but they requested additional time to actually respond.
Cool.
We only put it out for 7 days
Okay.
for response.
Okay.
I think it's probably okay if they're not housing authority specific. They might be able to dig in more so that anybody could figure it out. Could follow the, I don't know, just my 2 cents.
For staffing update, the construction coordinator did start on the 15th. He will be focused on the parallel track projects such as site lighting, HVAC replacement, electrical upgrades. We're currently interviewing for the director of property management. We're almost fully staffed in maintenance. I believe you have one more technician that we need to hire. The accessibility coordinator position is advertising. We're currently in the process of going through the candidates that have applied. I think we have a total of 5 really good ones that have experience with translation services. We're currently interviewing for the community ambassador for Crescent Halls. We also had a position come open that was in charge of our website. And so we're modifying that position to be a communication specialist / FOIA officer. And so they'll be in charge of social media, press releases, websites, and any FOIA duties. For safety, we've developed an anonymous safety concern link on our website under the resident tab. So residents can submit safety concerns directly to myself and the property manager. We're the only ones that receive the email. We've also put that on a business card and put it on magnets. So the magnets will be deployed at all of our units, and the cards will be at the offices to be handed out as residents come in.
I'm just wondering for residents who might be less tech savvy, is there any other way for them to make anonymous?
They could go into the office, any of the offices, and provide
Okay.
it. But of course, then it's not really anonymous.
Yeah.
We can look into developing some type of Dropbox
Okay.
that may serve as that, though. We're currently under procurement for security services at Crescent Halls. And we are analyzing the impact of designated visitor versus resident parking spaces at all sites. So there's been a bunch of parking concerns that have been expressed at almost every safety meeting, from residents not having a spot when they come home late at night because a guest is parking or another vehicle is illegally parked. And so at the last safety committee meeting, we talked about the parking policy and any amendments. And so we are proposing an amendment to the parking policy, which will go out to all residents. We're adding language in there around the handicap parking. Charlottesville Police Department has been enforcing handicap parking, and they've written a few tickets. And so we're going to add that language in the parking policy just so residents know. We don't have a role in that enforcement. It's actually a state code that allows the police department to enforce handicap parking, illegal handicap parking. And so we're adding that, and we're also proposing to change the language in our policy to allow the tow company to monitor the parking lot without us having to call. We don't have staff on every site, and so some sites get neglected when it comes to regulating the parking lot, just because we don't have someone there every day. Like Mickey, Madison, and Riverside, there's no office there, so we don't typically have staff there unless they're working on the site or working on the unit or passing out flyers. But that's not every day, and maintenance isn't going around looking at vehicles to see if they're illegally parked. We've done that in the past, but there's also caused some issues with the residents when we've done that. The no tow days will stay the same. I'll also add that some trash bins at West Haven and some other sites have not been dumped because of illegal parking, because they blocked the trash bin, and then the trash company just moves on. We typically find out when we go by, and we'll see it's piled up with trash that then maintenance has to go clear out. But I think the last one happened on like a holiday, and the city was sending us photos because they drove through and saw it. But when you look back at the cameras, the vehicle illegally parked there, blocking it from being dumped. The maintenance department, we've revamped the maintenance department, which includes separating it from housing. They've increased their maintenance technicians from 3 to 6. They have a new director, which is Robert. We're developing or editing the maintenance plan that was sent over to you, I think last week or a couple weeks ago. And so we're going through that maintenance plan. We'll get that modified based upon the new services that we've taken in-house, such as pest control and grounds maintenance. And so once that's modified, then that will go out to the public as well. Public housing and maintenance will be collaborating to do quarterly inspections until it's determined that units can be moved to a biannual inspection. Based upon the REACT inspections, it's clear that we need to have more eyes on the units at more routinely. And so we will be doing those quarterly in conjunction with housing and maintenance. Both departments and HCB will be getting certified for Inspire inspections. We're going to be doing that in collaboration with the county, Albemarle County of Housing, their department, so their HCB staff can also get trained at the same time our staff is getting trained for that new inspection module that's being rolled out. Residents are now also required to sign off on work orders when they are at the site.
Idea.
Say again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying that's a good idea.
Okay. Staff is calling to verify the completion and satisfaction of those work orders that are completed. We're not calling every resident is a QC type model. And then Robert is going to be tasked with QC the actual quality of their work. So going to the units and checking to make sure that the work was actually completed in good quality.
So basically, you're kind of like
Miss-
randomly choosing?
Mr. Sales, we used to have a hang thing that the maintenance guys would put on the door when they were through
Yep, we're doing
or
that.
had been there.
We're doing that for tenants who aren't there, but if they're there, then we're requesting that they sign off on it.
Oh, well, I signed
Can you
off
just
on
remind
that.
us, did all of our which sites failed the REAC inspection or
So
Inspire?
The one that we had recently, it was Mickey, Madison, Riverside, and the scattered houses, which is Elsom, Monticello, and Hinton and Ridge Street,
Okay,
the duplex on Ridge.
okay, thank you.
Housing. We're currently working on a on-call system for property management to where they rotate on weekends. So just like maintenance has an on-call schedule, the property managers will have on-calls for emergencies. That's a new process. We've already started the rollout of it, acquiring the phone, the line, and we're working with them on developing the schedule, the rotation for the property managers. We're also looking to modify our working schedule to cover partial coverage on Saturdays. So like a typical property management company is typically open half a day on Saturday. We're going to get to that point where we're able to give resident services on Saturdays as well. In HCV. As of April 1st, we've implemented case management in HCV department. So all the HCV specialists have a specific caseload. This will make it easier for participants to know exactly who they're working with. So when they come in to do an interim change, it's only one person instead of having one person do one thing, one person do another. So you have 4 different hands or 4 groups of hands on the same thing. In this case, it will only be one individual that's working with that client all the way through the process. We've already developed the SOP for the case management base HCV, SOP, standard operating procedure. It's been implemented. The staff was trained on it about a month before we started. And so they have that as their guidebook for when they're processing tenants all the way through. Okay. One last thing. We're working, the Housing Authority specifically is working on increasing the amount of touch points that they have with our residents. So we've developed a site beautification day. It's when all office staff can volunteer to work in communities to complete landscaping projects. So we've done West Haven already. We did West Haven in March, and our plan is to do Mickey, Madison, and Riverside in May. And I think at West Haven, we had a turnout of 25, a total of 25 people. Only 2 people out of all the office staff did not participate in it. And so we're going to look to do that monthly going forward, a rotation at different sites. Just an opportunity for us to get out there and engage with the residents.
Awesome.
And address some of the needs on the site. The property managers will also be doing monthly events at their sites for residents as additional engagement for them specifically without all the other staff or me there. I think that's all I have. I do have the inspection report that was asked about, but I had to redact it, and so I can send it to you. I can redact the specific addresses off of it, but I can send it to you guys. What I did do is go through them and identify like the issues that occurred the most. So we had smoke detectors and CO detectors that were missing. We had a total of 41. We had 18 window screens that were missing and 13 hot water tanks that had issues. Either the pressure relief valve was not 6 inches off the ground, or there were exposed wires at the bottom of the hot water tank that made it a extreme health and safety issue. But I'll provide you all with the actual report so you all can go through it. I will say the smoke detectors and CO2 detectors was definitely something that was eye-opening because we worked with the Charlottesville Fire Department to actually install smoke detectors and carbon dioxide detectors in every unit. And for each of the bedrooms, there was one installed in each bedroom based upon code. And by the time we got to the inspection, they were removed.
So with the smoke detectors, is the situation something like a tenant, the battery runs out, they're removing it off the wall themselves? Or is it an issue on CRHA's end where it just wasn't installed or followed up on?
No, they're being removed. You can see where the plate is still on the back, but the smoke detector is
Right.
gone. And oftentimes we find them in the unit, it was chirping and they just took it down.
Right. And that's what I would have assumed. So what kind of, obviously that's a huge safety issue. What does that practically look like to ensure that's not happening for future inspections?
So,
Because I'm struggling to figure out what that would be.
Call for a battery and
So-
maintenance changing it, which
I-
seems excessive.
I think us just going in there more often and actually enforcing our lease. So when we see it down, it's engaging with the resident. Hey, it's a violation of your lease for you to take this down. If it is chirping, please call it in. And just saying that, repeating that back, over and over again. But at some point, if that continues to happen, there has to be, you have to level up your enforcement based upon their reaction to that.
A fine.
Well, it's but you said fine. We can, but if they're not paying their rent, they're not going to pay the fine either. And typically, they go hand in hand. Like when we look at our inspection list, in the big violators, they're also the ones that have huge balances.
See, yeah, I think we should probably include that in the conversation next month when you were out gallivanting downtown Waterloo. We discussed the.
What a way to classify.
We discussed the report for next month. So maybe we can
You
include
be
in our
nice to
seriousness.
him tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Maybe we can include that in that discussion.
This might be a totally stupid question, but sometimes you can hardwire those in. I'm just wondering, as we redevelop, is that worth doing, or is that a big deal?
So when you see the report, you're going to see even the hardwired ones.
Or cut.
Some of those were
Okay.
snatched down too.
Okay.
And the wires were exposed, and so those received even higher
much
points.
smoking in
Just,
their
but
apartment.
why? It's because they're smoking too much in their apartment?
What were they
I see. Is that
cooking that
why?
they were burning up?
Smoking is definitely part of the problem.
Interesting.
Well, they was doing a heck of a lot of smoking if the smoke alarm went off.
Well, I don't know if the smoke is causing it to go off, or they're worried that the smoke is going to cause it to go off, so they take it down.
Oh.
I don't know which one it is, but you can tell when you walk into a smoking unit and a non-smoking unit.
Of course you can.
Thank you, Mr. Sells. Did you have anything else?
And especially if you're not a smoker.
That's true. No, that's it, but I'll send you all the redacted PDF after this meeting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sales.
Commissioner Wicks, can I add something really quickly?
Okay.
Also, if I may, also wanted to give you and your staff some kudos. Looking at the Deputy ED's report from Ms. Glenn Matthews, I think there are a few different things that we want to highlight that I also see that you included as well, that in your modesty, you didn't tell us, but like the first part, staff are working to start, number 2 on the resident services from the ED's report, staff are working on starting a CRHA community-based MOCA chapter to start in the fall. MOCA is a community organization led by Dr. Kevin McDonald and Dr. Joshua Epps. They do a lot of work with our youth. That is really, really, really good to hear.
So we also have a youth coordinator that is in the pipeline. You're probably about to say that.
Yeah, I was about to say that too, but
Go ahead.
no, but kudos. Also, we see that the youth coordinator position, as we've been talking about, is in the pipeline. Also, kudos to CRHA. You are put in a successful grant application, and we received funding from the City Vibrant Community Fund, and that goes directly to the youth coordinator position that I was about to talk about until Mr. Sells wanted to say it since he forgot it, and then he wanted to say it when I said it. But in any event, I just think overall within the report, in all seriousness, there's a lot of great work that's been transpiring from the grants perspective, we see that there's some that have been applied to us in Terra, and, you know, others in which we've done really well. From a board's perspective, for those who are not aware, we last month we had our meeting with Spark Mill, which was funded through our Tier 1 VA housing grant. That was really good. Our 5-year annual plans have been going well, and then, you know, there's just a lot of good work that's been taking place. I know that I was really happy to hear you discuss about bringing on a communications person. I think there may also be an opportunity for you, Mr. Sells, or persons from your staff, for us to maybe do a quick highlight video that we could send out to our residents just so they're aware of some of the things that are taking place. I was really happy to see you and the staff, not just you, but the staff as a whole, put forth some of the updates and announcements on the Facebook page, and in addition to sending some of the words out, but we also know some people like things electronically in a visual form. So maybe that's something that the new communications person can think about. But I think collectively, we got to do a better job. This is not I'm not being negative. I would say collectively, we all have to do a better job of speaking about some of the good work in which we're doing. Because when we don't talk about what we're doing, people don't know. And I think it's time for people to know all the good that is transpiring, because the negative will be blasted. So, and to that point, I know we had discussed before potentially having setting up a biannual meeting with council. If sometime we could get an update on that. I know we had sent something to Ms. Thomas about getting something on the books. So I think it's also important for them, council specifically, not just Councilor Payne, to hear some of the great work in which we're doing, as well as city staff, so that we continue to fortify and build that relationship. So that concludes my comments. Commissioner Wicks. Sure, me.
Does anyone else have any, are there any other public comments this evening? Okay,
Just real quick, that reminded me the strategic plan committee met after, and there's a draft, so I think next meeting we'll vote on it, and I can send that draft around to everyone so you can just review it with any feedback you have, but just wanted to put that out
great.
there.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to approve, we're targeting to approve that in the May 9th meeting.
Correct.
I think that's what it is. All right. I believe that concludes our agenda for tonight. Can I get a motion?
I think you can just adjourn.
You can just
I can just adjourn? Can I do this?
Yeah, you can.
I move that we adjourn.
You were waiting to do that, huh?
I actually discovered the other day, I was like, why is this mallet in the back of my car? And I realized it was because Savannah had borrowed it out of like my camping van, and I had taken it from her apartment probably like 6 months ago. But just randomly, somebody picked it up off the floor and put it on the seat, and I was like, huh, okay. My mallet.
Yeah, that was good.
I was showing Savannah. She was there today. I was like, this is Stokely's interpretation of the board meetings. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
That's what Stokely.
Yeah, where is
happening.
Stokely?
Is she here?
What do you drive?
Saw her, but not Stokely.
Okay.
Some regular crossing. Oh. Her mother.
So,